GM. On today's portfolio review, we'll be going through my DFS lineups. I was so close to a big day. If I just played the other way on that 6v6, I would have won all the money. We'll talk about the return of Min Cash Pete. We'll check out our best ball teams. We'll review a pick'em that hit that we built on the Sunday morning cram. We'll check in on some of the Deposit Kingdom members who continue to run oh so hot, including our friend ChrisGee, who's heading to Miami. It was a fun day yesterday. It's Pete's portfolio review. Let's do it.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atrophic chokitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go.
I got auto matched with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 6v6, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust out AP, crazy spot bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
It was I checked the chat, before we fire up the stream. The very first post this morning at 7:19 a.m. from Skull. I suck at DFS. I'm glad you found the right spot to commiserate, but it wasn't all doom and gloom yesterday. It was all in all a pretty good day around the kingdom. You knew ChrisGee was going to have to be in the chat. This guy shipping a ticket to Miami, won the Dog Bowl qualifier, which means we are now 4 for 4 on sending Deposit Kingdom members to Miami for that qualifier. Congrats, G. We'll check out your lineup in a little bit. GMs all around. GM Tyler, what is up? Ashton had a good day yesterday. Saw some of his screenshots in the Hand Builders and Opto Bros channel. What is up, Jonathan? Good mornings. How are we doing? Sean Mincash yesterday. Yes. All right, let's dive into it. But I think we need to do a little housekeeping first. I think we need some ducks. I think we need some coffee. We need to center ourselves and prepare for what we are going to be doing for the next hour here. So let me get the ducks going. All right, the ducks are being fed. There we go. The ducks are being fed. And then Pete needs some coffee here. Let's see if I can get a better coffee pour. I've had some suspect coffee pours over the past couple weeks. Got to really nail this here. Let's make sure my carafe is on appropriately so I don't make a mess. I think it was a pretty strong coffee pour. I'd give it like it was maybe like low eights there on the coffee pour. All right. How are we doing? All right. Let's dive into it here. And Top Stat, I appreciate that, giving out the winners on the cram. We did have a good cram show yesterday. It was a good show. We flag planted Devon Achane. All right. I don't want to use the flag plant language. That's the ETR stuff. It's the Gold Star lock of the week, the Gold Star GPP lock of the week. I think we're 3 for 4 now on the crams. Week 1, we had Travis Etienne. Week 2, God, I'm already forgetting who our play was in week 2 that hit. Week 3, we bombed with Kyle Pitts. That didn't work out. And then, week 2 was James Cook. That was the James Cook week. Week 4, Devon Achane. And then on top of that, we built a pick'em entry on the cram that hit. We crowdsourced one. People were tossing out numbers. We got the higher on the Rashi Rice. That was a legit sweat heading into last night's Sunday night football game, but we got there. So a nice little win there. And just based on seeing all your guys' screenshots on Twitter and in the Hand Builders and Opto Bros channel, it seems like a lot of you guys had a really good day. Let's dive in. I've been doing a very similar thing every week with my DFS lineups, where I basically make one core lineup, and then I've just been doing some very slight tweaks and putting them in some of the smaller contests or the bigger contests. This was my main lineup that I rolled out yesterday. This was the one I had in the Deposit Kingdom contest. This is the one I had in the smaller SPY. And man, this one, This one hurt because it was right on some things and then just missed in a really big way. But ultimately what this lineup boiled down to, and I'll recap this for the audio listeners, I will make sure you guys are serviced. I had a Colt stack, Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman Jr., and Josh Downs. I had a bring back in Puka Nacua. Puka was lock buttoned into my lineup basically the entire week. I was never not going to play Puka at 6,700. And then I did another little game stack around that of basically being like, I don't want to pay up for Josh Allen and Diggs were expensive, but how can I get access to this game? So I did a little secondary stack with Devon Achane, Dalton Kincaid, and Tyreek Hill. Obviously, Tyreek Hill at 9,200 ended up being my downfall in this lineup because eagle-eyed viewers will remember that CMC also cost 9,200. So just a cheeky little 40-point swing there going Tyreek Hill instead of CMC. And then we talked about this on the cram too. Really liked the leverage spot for Josh Kelley in this Chargers defense, thinking, hey, a lot of people want to play Aiden O'Connell. Everyone's jamming Keenan Allen and Joshua Palmer. This is a way to really attack this from a leverage standpoint. The Chargers defense, that play worked out very well. The Josh Kelley thesis, I think from a game theory standpoint, was fairly solid process, but I did not account for Isaiah Spiller really eating into Joshua Kelley's workload. And it always kind of reminds me, it's like you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But when we bet on these backs who have already shown themselves not to be good, you can get flamed. And I would say there's probably a decent amount of input volatility with the Joshua Kelley projection. You're saying, hey, he's going to be the lead back. If you're banking on this volume in this matchup against a rookie quarterback, maybe it gets there. Maybe Josh Kelley has the bounce back game, but he ceded a lot of work to Isaiah Spiller, didn't have a single catch. You can see here just 65 yards. But I thought from a lineup construction standpoint, this accomplished a lot of things that I want to do, which is essentially eliminating the things I need to get right. I basically had 3 bets here. And one thing that gave me confidence in the Richardson stack was we did a poll on the cram yesterday and everyone was into the Brock Purdy doubles, which, by the way, shout out to all of you guys. But I got the feeling that Anthony Richardson was going to be lower owned than expected because earlier in the week, I'm looking at ownership projections. Anthony Richardson's sitting there at 15, 16%. Then Aiden O'Connell opens up, and I knew he would come down a little bit naturally. But even then, kind of gauging interest, it seems like people had gotten off of Anthony Richardson. So I felt really good. We see him in this SPY come in at 7.9%. I always knew I was going to play Josh Downs with him there at 3,500. I liked what I had been seeing from him. He had an 11 target game last week, had been really seeing his playing time increase. And I know he has the low ADOT, not as exciting of, a boom bust type player, but I like the value savings there. And I like that he wasn't going to be like mega chalk as a punt wide receiver. I don't want to play Josh Downs at 15%. I'll play him happily here at 8%. He only has 2 receptions for 34 yards. One of the things that's frustrating to me about this lineup is I was messing around with other configurations with that third wide receiver spot that ended up being Michael Pittman. And basically what happened is once I settled on Tyreek Hill, Michael Pittman wasn't really on my radar until right before lock. And I basically had 6,500 in salary remaining, and I'm trying to find a wide receiver. I was like, can I get up to T. Higgins? Can I get up to an Olave or whatever? And I was basically debating how to play this. And then once the salary fit for Michael Pittman, and I was like, you know what? I might as well play Pittman. If I'm making a bet on Anthony Richardson, on Puka, on this game, I might as well just toss it in here and see if I can get the 125, 30-point week from one of Pittman or Downs. Obviously, that didn't happen. Michael Pittman got me the snowflake here, 4.5 points. But on the whole, for lineup construction, I like how this went. The big pivotal piece for me was spending 9,200 on Tyreek Hill, right? That could have been CMC. It could have been a combination of, going down to some other more mid-sevens guys. But overall, I felt good about this lineup. This one didn't cash in the smaller SPY, but then I ran 2 different variations of it. The variation that cashed, and I put this one in the bigger SPY, was essentially a 2v2 off of Michael Pittman and Joshua Kelley, and maybe was it a 3v3 here? Oh, and then down from the Chargers defense. And so this one got in James Cook, even further building out this game stack. So I had 4 players from this Bills-Dolphins game, and then going to Brandon Ayuk, who I still really liked as a leverage play with kind of the George Kittle steam, with how popular CMC was going to be, and kind of the assumption that Deebo Samuel wasn't going to be heavily involved. And then did go down to Panthers D, which was kind of the last viable defense, I thought, on the slate. I kind of mentioned it on the cram that I, in ideal world, got up to the Chargers, could settle for the Texans D at 2,900, and then Panthers was kind of the last one I felt comfortable with. And God bless Kirk Cousins opening that game with that pick 6 here. Panthers at 5.8%. Getting 13 points was nice. Brandon Ayuk at 6.4%, getting 23.8 points was nice. James Cook was serviceable, but nothing special there. I actually saw his role decrease last week. And so this lineup was able to min cash because of the Brandon Ayuk, because of the Panthers defense, but still the same issues, right? Have Tyreek Hill here. And maybe this would have been the spot to be like, okay, I'm playing Brandon Ayuk. I'm trying to eliminate the number of things I get right, and I'm adding James Cook to this block. Maybe I go CMC and Ayuk here instead of Tyreek Hill and Ayuk. And I did the math. This one would have finished with like 210 points. It would have put me right at about 20th or 21st for 1,500. So that would have been more of a 15x in the SPY. Not a 6v6 for all of the money, but a 1v1 CMC to Tyreek Hill. And I think you could have made an argument that it actually made sense in this lineup if I was shifting a bet over to this 49ers team here with Brandon Ayuk. And then I ran one more variation of this lineup in a really small contest. So this is something I'm trying to get better at this year. And I know I've seen conversations in the Discord too, where it's like, yeah, it's hard to register for contests that don't have big top heavy scores. But I put one in this goal line stand, 757 person tournament, $75, pretty smooth payout structure up top. And then in this one, I said, hey, I didn't really want to eat the Kyren Williams chalk in the larger field stuff, but I also said I am playing a game stack. My core stack here is this Anthony Richardson, Downs, Pittman, Puka. Let's do one in the smaller field where I put in Kyren Williams, and everything else was virtually the same. This one was just a 2v2 of going up from Joshua Kelley to Kyren Williams and going down from Chargers defense to Panthers defense. And so this ended up actually being my best lineup here. This one actually scored more, 168.7. This one scored 165.4. It finished in 86th. And this was a little 2x here too. But this is something I've gotten better about with my contest selection this year, because in previous years, I'm probably just bricking because I'm rolling this one lineup out in the big spies and I'm losing. This year, I'm making the pivots. I'm registering for some smaller contests and being willing to eat slightly chalkier plays in the smaller contests. And that's how I'm able to salvage a day where I didn't get everything right, but getting 4 30-point weeks here from Richardson, Kyren Williams, Achane, and Puka, that gave me enough to be profitable this week. So sometimes GPP life is just all about surviving, especially when there's such an element of you're either first or last. It does feel good to escape some of these weeks with these min cashes to make sure that we're not just hemorrhaging GPP money here. I'm going to go ahead and check in with the chat after my long DFS monologue here. We are tilting Marvin Mims. That was another one of the things for me where if I had played multiple lineups, like different stacks, whereas here I kept a very similar core. The other one I was considering was Justin Fields and Cole Kmet. We talked about it on the cram. Kmet ended up being 800 more than Kincaid. And it ended up, I just didn't like how the pieces came together, but I was basically looking at a 3v3 of, hey, instead of Richardson, Downs, and Kincaid, what if I did Justin Fields, Cole Kmet, and then bring it back with Marvin Mims. So same concept in the salary range, and then put that around this exact same core. That obviously would have worked out very well. It's basically, if I make that 3v3 and do CMC instead of Tyreek, then I literally win all the money. But now we're into 4v4. So I am now referencing my own parody of if I would have just gone the other way in a 4v4, I would have won all the money. But it has, and I keep saying this every week, it certainly has helped me to have focus where I'm having a very tight core. I knew I was lock buttoning Richardson. I knew I was lock buttoning Achane. I knew I was lock buttoning Puka. And I also knew I was going to lock button Dalton Kincaid. My thought here with Miami, keeping things underneath a good bit, and the fact that ownership was going to be split between Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, that made it more attractive to me. You know, if you didn't have Dawson Knox in the picture and Dalton Kincaid was going to be, 20-some% like, say, Pat Freiermuth was, I wasn't so excited about that. But knowing I wanted to build out that secondary game stack there, I felt good about Kincaid. So ultimately, I was running out a very tight core with just some 2v2s, 3v3s. Didn't fully break my way, but felt good about it. Let's see what team won the first place in the SPY here, the 100K up top. The All-In King took it down here for 239. I hope some of you guys rolled out those Josh Allen double stacks. Obviously, JM was talking about those on Friday. The team we built on stream was a Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, and Stephon Diggs. You see the winning team here. Josh Allen, CMC, Devon Achane, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins. Holy shit, Nico Collins, 38.8 points at sub 5% ownership. Calvin Austin, who ended up being one of those other viable punt plays. He ended up kind of in the Josh Downs range as far as points. Dalton Kincaid, see, it is possible to win a tournament with Dalton Kincaid. Joshua Palmer at 25% only gives you 10. Don't necessarily love that play, but when you're trying to get in CMC, Allen, and Diggs, you're going to have to punt multiple spots. And then Ravens D going against DTR there at 12%, giving you 17 points. Very nice lineup there to take down that tournament. Yeah, I bet ChrisGee does love Nico. We're going to bounce around a little bit today, but let's go look at Chris's lineup. Here it is. So ChrisGee headed to Miami, won the Dog Bowl qualifier, and God, this is just a beautiful lineup. You stack Justin Fields with Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet was basically free, even in the 12-person contests on Underdog this week. You play Kyron Williams, who has one of the best workloads in football right now at running back. He was probably too cheap ADP-wise relative to his usage. You get Justin Jefferson at 101, a little influencer 101 there, or maybe that was 102, Chris, you can correct me. And then just two one-off wide receivers who were pretty sneaky. Brandon Ayuk had this eye tag next to him all week, even though we knew he was going to play, even though he had been practicing. That still kind of suppresses his ADP a little bit. You get Nico and Brandon Ayuk going off here, and you ship a ticket to Miami. And it is truly fitting. You know what? I will say this. The Miami bros have had a tough week. I've been watching the Miami media have an absolute meltdown over my cousin Joe Cronin playing them like a fiddle with this Damian Lillard situation. But Chris, you do get this one here, even though your Miami Heat are in shambles, even though you guys are now like the 6th best team in the East, you are going to Miami with Underdog. Congratulations, Chris. Also, shout out to Alex here as well. Let me go over to my Twitter. Our guy Alex had a monster week as well. Finished second in the Battle Royale here for 15K. I should just go over to the Battle Royale leaderboard here because look at this. We got, let me drop my my screen here. So we have Crash Rich here, who's just been absolutely dominating in first. Then you got Alejandro, Alex in the chat here. Takes second for 15K. And then do you see who's just snuck into a T6 here? Mr. DailyRojo himself. I mean, come on. This guy, Pat Kerrane, now has to come and enter our Battle Royales. Can't you just leave this as a safe space for those of us who haven't won $2 million playing best ball? But shout out to Kerrane, shout out to Alejandro, everyone else here at the top of the leaderboards in Battle Royale. I was happy this week. I was able to get in a little bit more volume with my Battle Royales. I think I got up to 36 entries. I've basically been saying that every week. I want to up my volume in these contests. Just time and everything hasn't allowed me to get as many entries, but this was the most entries I've gotten in yet, and I will hopefully keep ramping it up. I think ideally I'd love to be getting in like 50 lineups in the Battle Royale each week. Had a couple teams in the goal line stand. Nothing special here. This team had a Josh Allen Diggs. Ramondre was a guy I had some hopes on as kind of a sneaky play, just how cheap he was and his role still being solid. That did not work out because the New England Patriots are a bit of a dumpster fire right now. T. Higgins gets hurt. So this one doesn't come together. And then in the Dog Bowl, I had 5 entries in there. Nothing sniffing near the top of the leaderboard. I guess this was my best team. Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Dalton Kincaid, little Brandon Ayuk, and Marquise Brown mini, and a one-off Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard didn't hit either. I need to do a pennant MLB playoff team. I need to get in some resurrection drafts too. Hopefully we'll be able to get to some stuff, but don't hold your breath on the pennant MLB playoff team unless you guys want to do it on off and on the clock on Friday. If the Badge Bros, if that contest is still open, someone let me know. Maybe we could mix in a little baseball there. Let's see here. What else did I want to hit on here? Again, so many people in the deposit kingdom yesterday had a massive day. Like it's legitimately crazy that it's now been 4 for 4 with copper prices, GME holder, Nez, copper prices ×2, and ChrisGee. And then I think there was, remind me, someone else in the Badge Bros chat too also punched a ticket yesterday, and I'm blanking on their name right now. But congratulations to everyone. Our guy FF Doom had a nice hit here, finishing in 4th with the Matthew Stafford double, and got in CMC and Ayuk. Loved this team. So yes, just awesome to see all of you guys crushing here. This was the pick'em slip that we built, the pick'em entry on the Cram yesterday. It was a fun crowdsource one. I think I immediately wanted to put Achane in because I knew I was playing him everywhere. Someone flagged the Joe Mixon lower than 15.5 rushing attempts. So that one hit there, barely 14 rush attempts for Mixon. That was getting a little sweaty. Puka Nacua, we put this one on our pick'em entry that we built on off and on the clock on Friday, higher than 6.5 receptions. He gets to 9 receptions, little help from overtime there as well. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, we had looked for this number on off and on the clock on Friday, and they didn't have any touchdown props. This one, they did get us rushing TDs as opposed to just any TD, but Christian McCaffrey got this one, 3 times over, higher than half a rushing TD. And then our sweat heading into Sunday night, and there were a lot of people who I think did a similar volume on this where they put $50 down to win 1,000. And so then we were basically riding into Sunday Night Football with needing Rashee Rice to go higher than 25.5 receiving yards. And I felt pretty good about that. I forget who suggested this one in the chat. But even had been reading Karane's walkthrough. He was bullish on Rashee Rice's role expanding here. And then we're immediately just sweating. Oh my goodness, this is a game where they're relying on the run. Isaiah Pacheco is crushing. And are they going to even need to pass whatsoever in this matchup? But lo and behold, there in the fourth quarter, Rashee Rice got there with a couple of catches on that drive, got to 32 receiving yards. And we had a nice little hit here, 5 picks for $1,000. And if you guys aren't YouTube members, you can become a hand builder in OptoBro here. Basically, if you guys haven't seen this, there's the join button here. If you become the hand builder in OptoBros, you get access to the private Discord channel. It's an awesome channel there. You just sync your YouTube account with your Discord account. You'll get access there. You get the crams on Sunday morning. Those are where we go through all the plays. We build those pick'ems. We go through all the overnight news, and then people prod me for my Gold Star Lock of the Week, so you can get those. And then you also get access to the Saturday night after dark shows as well. I did one with Sammy Reed on Saturday night, had a blast catching up with him, hearing about all of his escapades, playing poker and all of that good stuff. So that is how you can sign up and get access to all of that stuff. It's a legitimately good deal. They're getting 2 extra shows a week and access to the Discord, all of that good stuff by becoming a hand builder and an OptoBro. Let's see here. What else do we want to check out here? We could check out on some of our best ball teams here. I don't think I had a ton of movement across my Best Ball Mania portfolio, at least from an advance rate standpoint. I think I'm right around that 16% right now, advancing 24 or 25 teams. It does remain fun to kind of see the advancing teams across the portfolio, and it's almost evenly distributed from early on in the draft process, like the team I drafted with Pat. Opening night is in first place here, all the way up to a couple of teams I drafted on the marathon stream. And shout out to Tom Everett Scott. This one continues to be one of the ones I'm more excited about because it's one of my only Puka Nacua shares here. But this team that I drafted with Tom Everett Scott, Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy, Aaron Jones, James Cook, Antonio Gibson, Tank Bigsby, Gus Edwards, and Savon Ahmed. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, Juju, Jalen Hyatt, Isaiah Hodgins, and then God bless you, Tom Everett Scott, Puka Nacua, and then 2 tight ends there, Mark Andrews and Greg Dulcich. Nice to see Mark Andrews get off the schneid there in week 4 with that 2-touchdown game. But this is a pretty fun team that I drafted with Tom Everett Scott. Yes, DG, my credit card ends in 9336. You can do with that what you want. It's on me. Dairy Queen on me today, DG. Let's see here. What other teams have I been interested in? The team I drafted with Lord Reeves, I don't think is cashing right now, but that one I've been keeping an eye on. It's in third because he got me on Zach Moss on this one. And this one might take a little bit of a hit right now with Kenny Pickett. Likely, I believe he's going to miss this week. And then he has the bye, but they kind of expect him back after that. But this is like a pretty fun team here. It's a Jared Goff, Kenny Pickett. These running backs are very fun. Breece Hall, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Warren, Zach Moss, Gus Edwards, and Jerome Ford. Like a really nice run out for a 0 RB room there. And then this was the team where we went for 2 premium doubles. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith got sniped on Jalen Hurts, then went after DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, got sniped on Geno, tack on George Pickens, DPJ, Alec Pierce, and then the tight ends are just correlated there with the quarterback, Pat Freiermuth and Sam Laporta. So I think this team I drafted with Reeves on the marathon stream is pretty fun here as well. Breece Hall, Montgomery, Herbert, Warren, Moss, Edwards, Jerome Ford. Jonathan's curious to see what they do for the Dog Bowl this week. Yeah, the price points have been all over. What was it? 2 weeks ago, they had the $4. This week, it was back to the $50. I think a $25 price point would be good for this week, although I know it's been having trouble filling. So last week, we had the promo where they did a free $50 in bonus cash for every 4 Dog Bowl teams you drafted. Maybe we'll get some kind of promo like that again. Oh yeah, this was a fun one. DG saying Micheal Wilson shares were going off yesterday. Yeah, I didn't get to watch the end of that game, but was pretty surprised to see Micheal Wilson doing well there. I think Pat and I might have drafted Micheal Wilson on that first team. Actually, I should just go to the Fantasy Life Best Ball Hub, and I can pull these up easily here. As always, guys, if you're wanting to kind of look at your combos on a free resource here, you just go to the Fantasy Life Best Ball Hub. You can upload your CSV that you get from Underdog, and then you can check out easily, hey, what are the teams I have, Micheal Wilson on? What are the teams I have him paired with? Eagles players, or however you want to kind of dissect that portfolio information here. Yes, Tyler, let's talk about the Micheal Wilson breakout game right now. I actually want to look at his utilization too, because I haven't really dug into that. So let's pull this up. This is also on the free Fantasy Life utilization report. Seriously, my favorite resource in all of fantasy right now. But Micheal Wilson, his routes were actually down from week 1. But man, this role has been really solid here. He's now averaging 14% of the targets on the year. Yesterday, up to 17% of the targets, and then a pretty nice targets per route run there of 20%. Marquise Brown Still definitely the top dog in this offense as far as from a route perspective, from targets earned. But man, Micheal Wilson having an ADOT of 16 on the year and having this many catchable targets speaks to what a pleasant surprise Joshua Dobbs is. He finishes as the PPR wide receiver 6 yesterday. Very nice there from Micheal Wilson. I have a decent amount of Micheal Wilson. I think for a late round guy, 6%. I'm sure the Micheal Wilson Bulls will say that's not enough, Micheal Wilson. I feel pretty okay having him. I do have him, unfortunately, a decent amount of the time with Kyler Murray, which doesn't seem like it's trending in a good direction here, but mainly opposite Eagle stuff in week 17. God, seeing that Rashad Penny name also doesn't feel too hot right now. But yeah, nice breakout game there from Micheal Wilson. I want to say I had drafted Micheal Wilson on that one of the first teams I did with Pat, or maybe it was too early. Maybe we weren't on Micheal Wilson quite yet. Were we on him here? No. So this was the first team I drafted with Pat that continues to advance: a Kirk Cousins, Bryce Young, Gibbs, Pacheco, Charbonnet, Brian Robinson, Mostert, Chase Brown team. So all those running backs ended up being values: Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith, T. Higgins, McLaurin, Burks, Mims, Alec Pierce, and then a Dulcich, Hayden Hurst, Sam Laporta team here. Trying to see if we have any fun Micheal Wilson teams here as I kind of tab through these teams here with Micheal Wilson. Who has the most Micheal Wilson in the chat? Who's up to the most Micheal Wilson? Oh yeah, I thought of you yesterday, Easy, with the Derrick Henry, what was it, the pop pass or whatever there at the goal line. Yeah, Big Dog had a nice game yesterday. Yeah, Dobbs has looked awesome. I mean, I wonder how much would the Jets give up for Joshua Dobbs? Although I will say Zach Wilson looked shockingly good last night. I know a lot of people were very surprised by that. And I had heard some whispers from some like ball knowers who thought even before the Aaron Rodgers stuff, or maybe it was after that, we were going to see more of an improved Zach Wilson this year. That take didn't look too hot after a few weeks, but he looked pretty good there. Hung in there versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs have a really good defense too. He made some nice throws. Some of it was like bailout lucky. You know, that one deeper pass to Allen Lazard where Allen Lazard was doing like a 360 trying to turn around and track the ball, and 2 defenders basically fell around him and he still managed to catch it. But he was making some nice throws there to Garrett Wilson, Lazard, and Conklin. Yeah. The thing is, though, is it's probably pretty dangerous, right? Because it's like, if Zach Wilson looks just competent enough, maybe the team doesn't feel the need to go out and get a veteran quarterback, which I still think they should do just in case. But yeah, Nick says, is there a way to check if Dobbs was drafted at all in BBM? Yeah, I know Hayden a couple weeks ago posted the ownership data for Ball Mania IV. I don't think I have time to go dig it up right now, but if someone does like a quick Twitter search of Hayden and then like BBM4 exposures, I think you can find it. Yeah, Chris Diaz, Gannon being a good coach will be great for memes. Yeah, we all wanted to body bag this team. Rich Gannon had that super cringe pump up speech where he looked like Kendall Roy in Succession trying to get these guys riled up. We thought they were going to be just an abject disaster, and they're playing pretty well. That's all we ask for fantasy, right? Is just like basic level competence to ensure that there can be some fantasy relevance there. Wow. Chris says legit might start Zach Wilson in Dynasty against the Broncos next week. Sean says he had some nice back shoulder throws. Yeah, Ross says Jets fan boots on the ground, hoping this is the week they unleash Breece. Yeah, that box score last night, it was like, all right, you want the good news or the bad news? The good news is that Breece Hall led the team in carries. The bad news is he had 6 carries. So it was one of those weird kind of game flows there, but I continue to be pretty encouraged. And the team's consistency, at least so far with how they said they're going to handle this situation, has held true. 32% of the snaps week 1, 33% of the snaps. I'm talking about Breece Hall in week 2, week 3, 48%, week 4. It does dip down to 46%, but still out there running routes, up to 40% of the routes last night, 8% of the targets. Like, this workload, it's trending in the right direction. And then inversely, Dalvin Cook's snap share has gone down every single week, 49, 35, 27, 25. So the biggest issue right now is probably Michael Carter's involvement. I think if this backfield just consolidated around 2 guys, we could immediately have some fantasy viable players. But Michael Carter getting essentially a third of the snaps and a third of the routes right now is a little bit of a problem, having a 3-way committee here. But I still fully expect that Breece Hall, the takeover, is going to be happening here sooner than later. And I'm very excited for it. My best ball teams need it. I feel pretty good. I think last week too, that I'm advancing as many teams as I am, considering my top 5 or 6 exposures here you can see are all dust right now. JSN dust right now. Rashad Penny dust right now. Kendre Miller dust right now. Breece Hall dust, but a glimmer of hope. Quentin Johnston dust, but a glimmer of hope. And then you get down to some fun stuff. Sam Laporta, James Cook. Chuba continues to look better than Miles Sanders. I wish Pirine would take more advantage of some of this Javonte Williams stuff, but man, Sean Payton loves him. Some Jaleel McLaughlin. Traylon Burks, dusty right now. Mims kind of coming on. Nice to see some signs of life from Sam Howell yesterday, too. This reminded me, I wanted to look at the Quentin Johnston usage yesterday. I hadn't pulled that up yet. I wanted to see if there was anything encouraging there. So yeah, pretty encouraging to see him. This role is honestly, like, to go from being a part-time player, is averaging 25% of the snaps, 26% of the snaps through 3 weeks. He jumps up to 31% of the routes, or 71% of the routes in week 4, 14% targets per route run, 13% of the targets. And again, only 33% of his targets were catchable targets, and a pretty nice ADOT there at 18 as well. So his usage, Joshua Palmer ran more routes, which makes sense because Palmer was out there in 2 wide receiver sets with Keenan. But I think things are trending in the right direction here for Quentin Johnston. And if he can keep this up, if he can get his catchable targets up a little bit and maintain this level of air yards market share, I think we'll get some bigger Quentin Johnston games coming here. I need some more coffee though. There's some more coffee. Let's see. 10 Minute wants to know, how was Mims's usage yesterday? Yeah, let's check that out as well. Brandon Johnson still running 40% of the snaps. Routes. I keep saying snaps. 39% of the routes for Brandon Johnson, 23% for Little Jordan Humphrey. We did get an uptick, right? So for Marvin Mims, he was up to 39% of the routes yesterday. Still pretty maddening usage on the whole, though, right? When we just consider how dynamic and explosive he looks. 17% targets per route run and only 8% of the targets there. Let me just filter by week 4 just so we can get a better look at how this is shaking out. But yeah, this is just gross. It's really gross. You have Cortland Sutton, who's running the majority of the routes. Jerry Jeudy, who's been a mixed bag. He had one throw where he just gave up on the route. That was disappointing to see from Jeudy. But yeah, for the Marvin Mims, it's just this Brandon Johnson and Little Jordan Humphrey route percentage is a major problem. It seems so obvious that you just put Marvin Mims out there in 3 wide receiver sets and let him run 75% of the routes. I don't know why it's that hard. This team is so broken in every way. And probably one of the lone bright spots for this team right now is how Russ is playing and how Marvin Mims has looked. And we can't even get Marvin Mims out there for more than 39%. But I guess the silver lining is it's an uptick, right? It's at least a slight uptick. 27% week 1, 14%, 28%, at least up to 39%, cleared 30% for the first time in routes. But we got to get this going. Sean, I'm begging you. We got to get this going. I'm sorry, Brandon. Your namesake. You're my favorite Brandon Johnson. The other Brandon Johnson, I'm sick of him. Yeah, this one was just absolutely classic. Seeing Sean Payton bringing in Traquan Smith. Just like, where the fuck do you get your ideas, Sean Payton? His idea of like scouting is just taking one of those like team program handbooks that they hand out at the stadium when you come in, and they're like, here's everyone on the 53-man roster and the expanded practice squad. And every night before bed, Sean Payton just flips through that. And it's like, oh yeah, I remember Traquan Smith. I mean, we're 1 week away from him bringing in Lance Moore. Why stop there? Let's get Devery Henderson. Let's see if Marcus Colston still can walk. I mean, Sean Payton, you disgust me. Yeah, trading for Taysom and rolling him out by QB midseason. I just can't with Sean Payton right now. Will Fuller. Is Leonard Fournette our generation's Will Fuller? Is Uncle Lenny not happening this year? It seems like it's not happening. Let's see here. I think I fell out of the Best Ball Mania leaderboard here. Are any of you guys in the top 10K? I think I only have a couple teams now. I had like 4 after last week. Yeah, I'm only down. I only have 2 here. 588 sitting in 1400th place, and another one in 6500 range here. Let me see which team this is. The 588. I believe it's still this Miami, and where is it? I think it's this early team. Is this the one here? 575. Or is it now up to 588? Oh, this might be the one that's in later. But this is the one I'd been looking at that has both of the Dolphins running backs. This is a fun team, though. It's the Tua Dak team that has love this running back room, although I wish Mostert was Achane. But Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, P. Ryan, Mostert, Bigsby, and Chuba. Love that running back room there with the double anchor. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Zay Jones, Michael Gallup, Marvin Mims, and Jaden Reed. And then tight end, Hawkinson and Ferguson. This is probably my strongest team. I think just like top to bottom with the construction and the stacks and kind of the secondary stacks with Tampa Bay and Jacksonville here. No dead roster spots on this team yet. So I do like this one a good bit. The guy in first has let me see. What are we looking at here? Walrus Balls. Congratulations to Walrus Balls. Is that Underdog's like worst nightmare that like someone who has like the name like Big Old Titties or whatever ends up winning Best Ball Mania? And then, like Josh Norris has to record a commercial where he's like, congratulations to Big Old Titties, who won $3 million this year in Underdog's flagship contest. I actually now want to see that happen. Hi, I'm Jack Settlement. Do you want to win $3 million playing best ball like Big Old Cock and Balls did in 2023? Sign up now using promo code SNAP. Charlie has 6 teams. Let me see here. What are you, line of scrimmage? Oh my goodness. Look at this. Nice little portfolio there by line of scrimmage. 6 teams up here. Meatloaf Dick 69 wins BBM4. I really need to see it. I do really want to see it. Look, Underdog, if the other premier Underdog influencers don't want to do that commercial, I'll do it. I'll be the one that goes on national TV and says, congratulations to Big Old Meatloaf Dick 69, our newest champ. We have a strong history of champs. First, there was Justin Herzig. Then there was Chess Liam. Then there was Pat Carrain, and AKA DailyRojo. And now the new member of the Mount Rushmore of Best Ball Mania, none other than Meatloaf Dick 69. Sounds wonderful. Oh, man. I will not be Googling Walrus Balls on the portfolio review. I will not. I have to draw the line somewhere. Yeah, shout out to Consigliere. All offseason, he was talking about Foreman being the odd man out for the Bears backfield. How could I know that the 1 million running back can just sit inactive? I will say, like, looking back on those 3 ambiguous backfields from a process standpoint, right? The 3 we talked about all year, the Bears, the Dolphins, and the Saints, right? The ambiguity of those situations, we are getting league winners from those backfields. Obviously, we got 2 essentially. I think most people would agree, right? 2 league winners from the Dolphins backfield in Mostert and Achane. I guess it's still slightly TBD with Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson, but you're getting some weeks from Herbert, and I do kind of fully expect Roschon to end up breaking out and taking over there. And then with the Saints, yeah, my Kendre Miller bags are down bad, but if you were scooping the dip on Alvin Kamara, who had just an insane PPR day yesterday, I mean, he was going after pick 100. So yeah, I think that lesson there like holds true. The market does not like knowing who the lead back is. And if you were willing to take stabs on those backfields, then you could have put together some pretty monster teams. Because yeah, you're going to whiff on some Jeff Wilsons. You're going to whiff on some Deontay Foremans. But I promise you, if you're building out a portfolio with the idea of taking advantage of those ambiguous backfields, you're going to end up with some teams that have Alvin Kamara, Roschon Johnson, and Devon Achane on them. So yeah, I like how those have been breaking. And I think that's exactly how that team I drafted with Reeves shook out, where we ended up taking multiple stabs here. Yeah. What was this one? We have Herbert. Oh, I thought we handcuffed here. This one we didn't. There's one of these teams that I was looking at that had both of those guys on it. Let me see there. See if I can find this team. I wanted to say I had a Roschon, Herbert, Achane, Mostert team maybe, or something like that. We'll see. Hunter says, why didn't I see this version of Stroud this early? I have a lot of Nico shares, but regretting not having more of that offense. I'm pretty upset with myself about the Nico stuff too. I had a pretty big blind spot. I was like, how I was approaching the quarterbacks was basically, I'll take Anthony Richardson if he falls, past pick 100. I wasn't going to pay the 6th and 7th round price tags. But I wanted to get my Anthony Richardson shares cheap. And then I was taking Bryce Young as like a break glass in case of emergency situation where you're backdoor stacking around Mingo or DJ Chark. Yes, no Adam Thielen for me. And then Stroud, I didn't think he was going to have enough rushing upside and that offense was going to throw enough for him to be fantasy viable. And because the only other times you'd be interested in that is Stroud from like a backdoor stack perspective was when you were taking Nico Collins. I think I'm like slightly over the field on Nico. But yeah, it was a blind spot for me. I thought, I can't see Stroud in this offense being fantasy relevant. But now it's setting up where they kind of look like this year's Jags from an ADP standpoint, where you hit on Stroud, you hit on Nico, even Tank Dell late too. Like that feels like, this year's whatever, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Trevor Lawrence, where those guys look massively undervalued there. So yeah, shout out to all of you who had conviction on Stroud. I certainly wish I had more CJ Stroud in my portfolio. Donnie says the Eagles were pretty ambiguous. Yes, but I'm talking about backfields that were legitimately free. I mean, DeAndre Swift was a 6th and 7th round pick the entire year. Those 3 backfields I referenced, all 3 of the running backs were going after pick 100 in most drafts. I wanted to see if I could find this Roschon. This might have been the one. I had Achane and Wilson, and then Roschon and Herbert on this one. So I didn't nail the perfect ambiguous of nailing Achane with Mostert. But I do like this pairing here. That's also a Fields and Tua team that has Mark Andrews and Cole Kmet. Yeah, this team looks pretty decent right here. Let's see here. Is Danny Dimes going to wake up tonight? I think it could be a good game. It feels like it could have some shootout appeal here. What is this total? I think it has a decent total, right? Check the game hub. 47-point total, which I believe would have been the third highest on the entire weekend, because it was just it was Bills Miami was at what, 53.5, 54. Then you had the Chargers Raiders game around 48, and that might have even have come down when Aiden O'Connell was named starter, and then this one at 47. So yeah, some hope that this one could be a fun game here. I like that the Giants are at home. Hoping we get some points. Can we get a little Jalen Hyatt going tonight? Let's see here. Vadim says, the best thing about my Stroud, Nico stacks, and BBM are they're almost always my second stack. Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, it's almost impossible for them not to be your second stack based on where Stroud was going. I think I might only have one Stroud team. I should look. Makes me sad. JGFC, JSN breakout tonight. I'm not holding out hope. I'm not holding out hope for the breakout tonight. I've kind of given up on early season production from JSN. I'm not really leaving a candle on for that. I think it's going to be a slow ramp up until it's either later in the season or there's an injury or Pete Carroll stops running all of this, just 2 wide receiver personnel. It's going to be hard for him. And I also want to cut him a little bit of slack, having broke his wrist 6 weeks ago or whatever, but that's probably just cope because where I was drafting him, I needed to get some early season production from him, and that hasn't been happening. So you see here, JSN 20% exposure there. Really need him to start producing sooner than later. Otherwise, that's going to end up being a huge miss. Only one CJ Stroud share. Let's check out this team and see if it has any legs whatsoever. It's a 2-6-8-2. Russell Wilson, CJ Stroud, Ramondre, Aaron Jones, Dameon Pierce, James Cook, Dwayne McBride, and Ronald Jones. This team had to have been drafted so early in the offseason. Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, god damn it, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Romeo Doubs, Nico Collins, Tim Patrick, Tyquan Thornton. Oh my God. This team is just a graveyard of what happens when you can draft early. Dwayne McBride, Ronald Jones zeros, Garrett Wilson out for the year, Tim Patrick out for the year. Tyquan Thornton might as well be out for the year. Actually, I think he should be back here soon. So my one CJ Stroud team is just littered with landmines. Consigliere, why aren't we going over weekly winner sweats? If I had a weekly winner sweat to go over, I would be happy to do it. I haven't had a good sweat yet. I did 66 drafts. I guess I have a few teams cashing here. Let's see. You want to see? Okay, I guess I had some teams cashing this week. I did have a decent amount of elite quarterback stuff as far as Lamar Jackson paired with Andrews, like this one. This one had Nico in a 0 running back room with Achane. This just shows how hard, this team's in 1000th place. And if you said, hey, you hit the Lamar to Andrews stack, you have Nico Collins, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, and Devon Achane, you'd be like, oh yeah, you're rolling in it. But man, you have to hit the absolute nuts in this contest, which we knew heading into it. But yeah, I haven't had any good sweats yet. That looks like my highest scoring team on the week. So I'm sitting here at 180 points. The team in first, BTFD, I recognize that username there, 222 points. So even a team that feels like I got a lot of things right on that squad, and it's still losing by 40 some points. So I love this construction here. They have the Justin Fields to Cole Kmet, and then also probably scoring Mark Andrews in their lineup this week. Of course, Nico, DJ Moore, not a ton of wide receiver points here, but it's the CMC. Yeah, you had to have had CMC this week to win, right? If you didn't have CMC in weekly winners, you weren't getting there in week 4 with that 45.2 points. Also, David Montgomery there with that massive game. It really does come down to some of those really concentrated, combos that you need. Like you need the Fields to Kmet. You need CMC with David Montgomery, who I believe were the 2 highest scoring running backs on the week. And then you need Nico Collins. But it is crazy. Like my wide receivers better than this team when you look at like my Jefferson, Nico, Brandon Ayuk pairing. But it just does not matter if you don't have the nuts at every position, the CMC David Montgomery. So shout out to BTFD. I am hoping I kind of just put like the weekly winners on the back burner from like a sweat perspective of saying, hey, I'm not going to tilt my face off that I don't have a team in the top 100, but one of these weeks, I think I'll feel good about it. And when you look at how these teams are constructed, it does seem like the sharper constructions are bubbling up to the top. Here's a Micheal Wilson team there. But again, you see these top teams, right? CMC and David Montgomery, and then Cole Kmet. Like you had to have these pairings here. Lamar Jackson, Cole Kmet, Mark Andrews. Nico, Puka. Oh man, getting a Puka on a weekly winners team feels good. He was able to survive not having Montgomery, but still CMC there. So yeah, if you can hit the 4 to 5 highest scoring players on the week, you can find yourself in the top 100 of these. Garrett Wilson out for the year? No, sorry if I misspoke on that. I definitely didn't mean that. I think I was projecting Aaron Rodgers being out for the year. But yes, no, everyone, Garrett Wilson is okay. How many targets did Garrett Wilson have last night? Didn't he have like 15 targets? It was something absurd. I am sorry to scare everyone. Our precious Garrett Wilson, he lives. He lives to see another day. He might not give us a top 5 wide receiver season, but he's at least out there. He's at least out there. Yeah, I do think I am very excited. I'm almost more excited for this offseason with weekly winners of just once our data overlords kind of start to get their hands on this stuff and can start to kind of reverse engineer some of the optimal roster constructions. I think that will be really, really fun. But yeah, I check in once a week. I'm like, do I have anything up here that's looking interesting? Oh, I did, before I get out of here, wanted to pull, I did a Bulldog team with our production team here. So shout out to Phil and Nick and Lou. We did a slow draft, and this team is sitting pretty right now. Nick sent me over the screenshots this morning. This team has 555 points. Kind of a mixed bag in that we lost J.K. Dobbins on this squad, but Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson looking like a very fun quarterback pairing. Breece Hall, Brian Robinson, Devon Achane, Kendre Miller, Zamir White, the other running backs, and then a really nice wide receiver room here. Diggs, Devontae Smith, Keenan Allen, QJ, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Richie James. Yeah, that didn't work out. And then tight ends, David Njoku. The flesh is weak, Mr. Njoku himself. Michael Mayer, that's not looking like it's going to hit. And then the Isaiah Likely contingent. So this is, the smaller pods and a little easier to advance. So you can survive not having the nuts. So as long as David Njoku can keep producing, I feel pretty good about these quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. We'll make sure to keep tabs on some of the other high stakes sweats as the season progresses here. But yeah, I think that is about it for me. Again, I wrote up, if you guys happen to miss it, in my weekly newsletter, it's the P.O. Box. I wrote about you guys. I wrote about the Deposit Kingdom, called you guys the sharpest community in fantasy sports. Continually impressed with how good you guys are at fantasy, whether it's Underdog, DraftKings, FFPC, like wherever you're playing. I continue to see your guys' names atop the leaderboard. So had to gash you guys up in the newsletter. That's a free weekly newsletter that I do on Fridays, kind of a recap of my week and the content I was doing, as well as a preview of the week and shows there, including the Block Party, Off and On the Clock, which is Fridays, DFS After Dark on Saturday nights, and then the Cram shows on Sunday for the YouTube members. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed to that. Completely free, the P.O. Box. I'll drop the link in the chat here and in the show notes. You can easily sign up right there for that link. Would appreciate you guys joining up for that. Otherwise, I got to head over and do Sirius XM radio right now. Do that every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 11 to 1. I believe the club is getting back together tomorrow. Clay and Andy back from their honeymoons. Got to talk a little friend tech. We can talk a little fantasy, all of that good stuff. Otherwise, the normal schedule for me this week. Congratulations to all of you guys who had big week 4s. We will see you guys around the kingdom. Have a great rest.